Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to the Audio Analyst. Well, I have been unsuccessfully trying to attend this show for several years now, thwarted repeatedly by bad weather conditions, canceling my flights, and making it impractical to reschedule, or last year, with a scheduling conflict for a surgical procedure, I finally made it for the 2025 edition of this event. The previous 5 shows had been hosted at the Hilton Tampa Airport West Shore Hotel, but the growing pains associated with an ever-expanding contingent of exhibitors had prompted the move to the larger Sheraton Tampa Brandon Hotel, located near the Florida State Fairgrounds and Hard Rock Cafe area. While you watch this event walkthrough from just beyond the hotel's porte cochere on in through the lobby, registration area, and into the Palm Room, hosted by the Valve Amplification Company, Acora Acoustics, and Scott Walker Audio, the suite where I delivered my Saturday evening curated after-hours LP session, let me share a little bit more about this remarkable show held each February here in, typically, sunny Tampa. I say typically as the Floridians in attendance this year were all complaining about the weather. When I left my home in the Midwest, it was 7 degrees, or -4 with the wind chill. After a bit of a delay, my flight touched down at the Tampa International Airport just before 4 p.m. the day before the show opened, and I was greeted to a lovely 62 degrees. Now, it got down to 42 degrees overnight before the show opened on Friday. And over the course of the 3 days, we dealt with overcast skies, some occasional rain, and temps in the mid-60s for most of my stay. It did get into the mid-70s, but for the most part, while some of the polar bears in attendance, like myself, were not troubled by these conditions, many of the locals were only too happy to apologize for the poor weather we were dealing with. This Sheraton was finished in 1987, but had seen a recent refresh in 2017, just after the 2016 acquisition of the 444-property Sheraton chain by Marriott International. Large, spacious, and with an expansive layout and convenient access to all its features, including its large meeting and conference rooms, its restaurant and bar, aside from the consequence that the hospitality staff seemed woefully unprepared for the mass onslaught the large group of audiophiles, exhibitors, and journalists brought down upon them, the event itself was run remarkably smoothly and without incident. And while I did see that they announced an 18% growth in attendance from last year's show, no total attendance figures were available to me at the time of this report. Now, this was my first visit to this annual show, and though it was being held at a new venue for the first time, I've attended other well-established shows that did not have this level of organization, as comfortable and inviting an overall vibe, or proceeded and ran as smoothly and efficiently. A hearty well done to Bart Andir, Sue Toscano, and all the other staff who made this event possible and so enjoyable. Over 3 days, with something on the order of 60 exhibitor rooms and 20 vendor booths across 4 floors, it was just the right size to be possible to experience everything one cared to see and hear. This show covered the entire gamut, ranging from a nearly €2 million system, highlighting the Statement 6-panel, $785,000 a pair Clarisys Audio Atrium loudspeakers, driven using 4 of the Valve Amplification Company's latest flagship amplifiers that made their world premiere at this show, the 2-chassis Statement 455 IQs, to the stir and excitement generated by a $1,000 pair of monitor loudspeakers designed by a 17-year-old. While I'll get to the €2 million system in an upcoming episode, I want to take you into room 415, hosted by Lucca Chesky, the son of well-known pianist, composer, producer, arranger, and co-founder of Chesky Records, David Chesky. Lucca is a 17-year-old speaker designer, actor, guitarist, and drummer, and he was demonstrating his insanely good LC1 loudspeakers here, as he had done at Capitol Audio Fest last November. The LC1 uses a 10-inch tall, 8-inch wide, by 10-inch deep, multi-layer, high-mess, non-resonant cabinet. They feature a 1-inch dome tweeter with surrounding diffraction control and a 6.5-inch mid-bass driver on the small front baffle, with a pair of inertially balanced 8-inch fluid-coupled passive radiating subwoofers mounted on the left and right side baffles. The crossover is hardwired using silver solder, featuring soil and film capacitors, with internal wiring from Kimber. Recommended power is a minimum of 30 watts at 8 ohms, and the LC1s are sold singly at $498 each or at $996 a pair. Driven by only the $2,200 Cambridge Audio EXA100, a 100 watt per channel integrated amplifier that includes a Roon endpoint and a built-in high-performance ESS Sabre ES9018 K2M based DAC, this whole system was hitched together using AudioQuest's entry-level rocket cables. While no price was given for the separate speaker stands, this whole system comes in at well under $4,000 all in. Affordable? Yes. But the system was surprisingly dynamic, with punchy, impactful bass down into what sounded to be somewhere in the mid to upper 40 Hz region. Staging was, well, remarkably well defined, with good depth and width, and a nicely layered sense of space and very realistic instrumental sizing. Tonality was surprisingly well balanced and richly rendered, with a reasonable degree of texture, though it was somewhat limited in its overall resolving abilities, which also limited its ultimate transparency. But damned if the sonic envelope that this modest system generated in that small room wasn't engagingly musical and an outright fun listen. For years, I've been thinking about ways to engage younger listeners, to instill the love of proactive listening, that of listening to music for the sake of its beauty and power, not as some background soundtrack to other activities, and finding a way to help reinvigorate this hobby. Most of the 17-year-olds I've run across have shown absolutely zero interest in this type of listening. And of course, typically, none of them have the disposable income to spend on the kind of gear that I'm really drawn to, like these here in my room. But along comes Lucca Chesky with his creative and remarkably affordable solution, which allows him to share the power, joy, and excitement that the best music has to offer. What an exciting, sensible, and engaging new loudspeaker. I wish we had a few dozen more Luccas out there, bringing their passion to this hobby to rekindle and engage the musical interests of today's youth, much as my enormous musical appetites were stirred some 5 decades ago. My most heartfelt congratulations and thanks to Lucca for following his passions, making the time, and taking the effort to bring us this remarkable product, offering a new and unprecedented opportunity to involve and engage more of today's younger generation with the enchanting, magical power of whatever music they are drawn to. Give 'em hell, Lucca. I can't wait to see what you might do next. As always, thank you for taking the time to drop by today. Further information on supporting the channel may be found in today's description section or at my companion website, theaudioanalyst.com. Please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.